Go. Okay, hello, guys. Hopefully you can hear me well. Hi, Mary Day Mallory. How are you, love? Can you hear me okay? Like, can you give me like a thumbs up or something? And anybody on TikTok, can you let me know if you're hearing me fine? So I'm on TikTok and on Instagram at the same time. Give me thumbs up or give me some sort of a word that you can hear me fine before I begin. Can you guys hear me okay? I know many of you probably are at work or not. Okay. Hi, can you hear hi. Can you hear me okay on TikTok? Can you let me know? Is there an echo or anything weird? Victoria, are you able to hear me on Instagram? Can you let me know? Give me thumbs up or just type something you can hear me well. There's no echo or anything weird. Can you guys let me know that you can hear me that you can hear me well? Yes, thank you, Victoria. Really, really appreciate it. That's Instagram. And then Anti-Social Marie, are you able to hear me well on TikTok? Thank you, Victoria. I really appreciate it on Instagram. So I'm on Instagram and on pause because you weren't using the app. Oh, interesting. Okay, there you go. All right. I'm hoping the TikTok people can hear me well. Anyhow, Tony Ghazi here, guys. How are you? A friend of mine sent me yesterday a link on YouTube. Hi, Amber. Are you able to hear me well, Amber? Sweet Peach, are you able to hear me well? Please let me know. Like, give me thumbs up on TikTok. There's no echo or anything. Hi, Sweet Peach. You're able to hear me well? Let me know. Because Instagram is good. I'm on Instagram and on. Yes, perfect. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Okay. Today is Monday. So last night, a dear friend of mine sent me a link of YouTube about Richard Doty, Doty, who's, I don't know, like a person that supposedly like works for the government. He's always about the UFO. He's always about like aliens, but tons of disinformation. And I don't normally like get involved because I honor everybody's views. But in this one, for some reason, I needed to come on this morning and talk about the praying mantis beings. He specifically speaks about this praying mantis story back in the 80s, I think, where they call them visitors, okay? That this praying mantis like was in Area 51, and apparently he killed a human, okay? For those of you who don't know me, just so you know, I'm not some crazy guy. My name is Tony Ghazi, Tonighgazi. You can Google me. I'm a senior vice president at Compass Real Estate. So I'm a realtor, and I like sell and I sell real estate in Washington D.C. And I started. This is why like my speech is weird. The reason like that I'm telling you that just to let you know I'm a real guy that holds a real job. Also talks to aliens, specifically like to praying mantis beings. Like, I channel them. And I've heard so many disinformation story over the years. So many disinformation story, not only about praying mantis beings, but about all aliens, all forms of consciousnesses. That this morning I woke up feeling fired up to begin to, thank you, Victoria, I love you, honey, to begin to give you the power, remind you that you are powerful enough to discern and to be very mindful on what you are hearing out there, because all these fear tactics out there are designed to keep you in disempowerment. So I wrote a lot of notes here that I'm going to talk about. So I'll probably be here for an hour or so. So every few years, there's a leaked story from some person that used to work for the government that had some sort of contact with some UFO, They tell you the story like verbatim, like via words, but then they say, oh, everything is classified. You know what I mean? I'm so getting tired of the idea of they give us these stories, they give us all of these like seeds of information, they make you believe it's all true, and yet they say, oh, I reached out to the government under the Patriot Act or whatever other fucking act that talks about, that like the government can give this information out, but when it's classified, then you can't. There's this whole like narrative around secrecy, around horror, and around the heroism of humans, of how aliens came here and we're trying to connect with them, but somehow they were like evil to humans and humans killed them, or they killed a human and we saved the human. Drive me fucking nuts, guys. Drives me absolutely nuts, because in my mind, from the beings that I like channel, from all the channeled sessions I've had, from the energy that I have, and if you know me very well, you understand the unconditional love of these consciousness. And I'm not just speaking about the praying mantis beings; it could be about any other human. I'm sorry, any other alien. They are an expanded consciousness more than us. We always go into the unknown. We always go into these beings, right, from our lens of fear. And we begin this narrative that they're here to kill us. They are here to take over the world, take over Mother Earth. Are you fucking kidding me? They are so advanced. If they do want to take over like Mother Earth, they would have 1 billion years ago. And let's talk about 3i Atlas for 1 second. And I don't want to get diverted. That's another also plan of the narrative. 3i Atlas is just a fucking comet, guys. Now, is there a consciousness on it? Is there like a body of water? Is there an insect on it? I don't know, probably. But it's all designed around secrecy, around horror, around, oh, it's coming Earth, it's going to hit Earth, it's an alien thing, an alien that. Bullshit. All of it is to spread these little seeds. And as they're spreading these lies, they're spreading some sprinkles of truth. So you don't know what's true and what's not true. So we can rely on them. That's the other thing, guys. Be careful. And listen, I've never talked about the government like this before because of my position I hold in like real estate. But I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm so fucking tired of not speaking my human mind. All of it is to empower you. Look, everybody has the right to speak in any way that they want. Everybody has the right to disinform everyone else, right? That's fine. Cool. You do you. But don't get sucked into that. Rely on your intuition. Rely on your power. And I have the badge of the Praying Mantis beings today, just to let you know that I represent the insectoid beings across consciousnesses, okay? And oftentimes when they give out these stories, right, of like fear, it's never verifiable evidence. It's always a story. And you should watch Richard Doty, D-O-T-Y's. If you Google like Richard Doty and like put mantis like being killing someone at area like 51, it like pulls up the most recent like interview on like some podcast on like YouTube. And he literally was like narrating like the story. Just the narrating like alone sounded so fucking fake and so fucking unreal. And then he goes on about him talking about his experience. All this information, but yet none of it, there's no evidence, right? And how ironic that oftentimes all these stories about UFOs and about aliens, like specifically the Greys, the Mantis, I don't know, there's always no like verifiable evidence because it's classified. Like this whole like secrecy keeps us in the psychological like theater, dependent on the truth from the government. Guys, each and every one of you is consciousness. You guys are gods. You guys have access to the wisdom and the knowledge like within you. Whichever like modality, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, if you're Buddhist, if you're Taoist, if you're spiritual, if you don't believe in God, I don't give a shit. All of it you have access to. You are divine beings. So be mindful as you watch these things. And this mechanics of like fear like programming is designed specifically to collapse the higher frequency of your brain and disconnect your intuition so you can be in the consciousness of survival mode. I mean, everything on TV, even Hollywood at times, all the shows, aliens attack Mother Earth, aliens attack humans. Like things about UFO shows, they are attacking us, the fear of attacking us, alien invasion. Guys, if an alien invasion, again, and I said this before, would have happened, it would have happened a long time ago. Because a conscious being that has more access to wisdom, what are they waiting for? They could have done it 1 million years ago. They are waiting for us to come in the unconditional love of everything. But first, it begins unconditional love to self, and it begins with unconditional love to humanity and Mother Earth. When we begin to vibrate on the frequency of loving everything as one, then we will be able to have contact with the rest of the consciousnesses that we cannot even comprehend it, whether it's praying mantis, whether it's like gray aliens, whether Arcturians, Pleiadians, you name it. So please be mindful of the mechanics of fear that the government and even people that supposedly work for the government, and you don't know the whole fucking history of where they worked, which branch of the government they worked, if they even did work. Oftentimes people go online and lie about certain things to make themselves like the authority, and they sprinkle a little bit of truth, and the rest is all like disinformation. Please, please be super mindful. Also, who's actually advanced? Us as humans, whether it's the US government, Chinese government, Russian government, Iranian government, Lebanese government, I don't care. We think we're advanced. Who's the really advanced consciousness here? We are not. We are attempting to become advanced. We are attempting to expand our consciousness. We are attempting to understand them more, but we're always coming from the lens of fear of not knowing what there is beyond the threshold. You know what I mean? So non-human intelligences, meaning grays, mantis beings, every other consciousness that you can imagine, every other being beyond humans, operate from a collective consciousness like perspective. They do not come. They don't understand the world that we understand it. We understand it from duality. We understand it from separation. We understand it from fear. We understand it from like ways that we're trying to like master, but we're mastering it through the lens of fear. That's why we still have war. That's why we destroy our ecosystem. That's why we hate each other. That's why we don't understand each other. That's why we judge each other. And look, guys, we look like each other as humans. Whether you're black, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Lebanese, whether you're American, whether you're like Korean or indigenous or whatever, or African, whatever, we look like each other as humans, and we cannot get along with unconditional love. So you're expecting the beings to come to Earth and say hello to you when you cannot even accept our own race? Do you understand the psychological disconnection there? And why would they want to come on Earth and destroy Earth and take over Earth and even kill humans? Why? They're more conscious. They have access to the wisdom and knowledge beyond our comprehension. They have access to creating things beyond our comprehension. Why do they need us? We are the unevolutionary beings. They are more evolved than us. And like beings that do connect with consciousness, that have like beings that have the connection with what unconditional love is and what consciousness is and what the fabric of the universe is, do not see the world in which way that we see them, specifically like the praying mantis beings. And guys, I'm representing the insectoid beings. That's why I have the badge here today. And I have many of those, and oftentimes I put them on, oftentimes I don't. But because of this YouTube interview of this guy, Richard Doty, D-O-T-Y, that gave the story back in like the 80s where, and this is like what he says, guys. He says, a visitor like Mantis escaped Area 51. Listen to the words. If you have a fucking visitor, if you invite a visitor like to your home to have dinner with, why would your fucking visitor want to escape if perhaps you weren't trying to attack that visitor? So why was a visitor to begin with trying to escape a place to begin with? If perhaps you didn't trap them, if perhaps you weren't trying to extract like information from an unconditional loving way, like perhaps you weren't trying to torture them, you're not trying to understand them, you're coming from a Veer vibration, why would a visitor escape anything? A visitor is your guest. And then on top of that, they say, oh, the visitor like killed a human being. Bullshit. Nobody killed anyone. Perhaps who knows what they did like behind the background. There are like techniques of war that are illegal, that are inhumane, that perhaps allowed that being to have to survive. Maybe they put that being in a survival mode that they needed to escape. But if it's a real visitor, like to begin with, why are they escaping? So be mindful on what you hear when you hear those stories. There's always clues that you can decipher. Energetical beings, like praying mantis beings, to whom I like speak with. Again, guys, for the ones of you that are joining, hi Alanya, I love you. Hi Amber, I'm a senior vice president. Just so you know, and I'm not saying this to tap my to tap my shoulder. I just want you to know that I hold a real job. So I'm a senior vice president at like Compass Real Estate. You can Google me. I have the real job, but I also channel and I speak to the praying mantis beings. And I'm speaking up today for the praying mantis insectoid beings that the government or shades of the government or somebody who said who fucking work for the government, disinformation people, are trying to make you think that aliens and other consciousnesses across the across like the galaxies are bad beings or evil beings or trying to attack beings. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. We go into the unknown not knowing how to work and react to them, because we still operate on the frequency of fear. We still operate on the frequency of judgment. We still operate on the frequency of unconditional love towards self. And until we become unconditionally loving to ourselves and to our other fellow humans, that's when we begin to see the lens of what the other insectoid beings and aliens like are out there. So like my beings are one of the most unconditionally loving beings ever. They're not even like physical beings. They're energetical beings. They understand the mathematics of the world, the fabric of the universe, what holds the universe together, which is unconditional love. They are neural architects. I say like the word neural, like neurons, like, in our minds, because our minds are like electrical fields. It's like a lightning bolt, right? Of like consciousness. That's what the insectoid beings are, and they work with brain waves and like DNA structure to help us awaken codes within us to remember more of who we are. Now, the fact that praying mantis beings appear with large eyes, and guys, I make praying mantis crystal skulls, right? The large eyes. Right, the reason for the large eyes and like the elongated like realms, like limbs, the reason that we perceive them, because the way that I see like my insectoid beings, the praying mantis insect being, not like, as an insect, I see them as energetical beings. That's how they came to me first. But because our minds aren't able to comprehend an infinite idea of what energy is, they have to come in an archetype, and they come in the archetype of the insectoid beings with like the large eyes, because they're reflecting back to us the darkness within us that we are trying to face. The fact that we do not love each other, the fact that we judge each other, the fact that we hate each other, the fact that we still go to war with each other, the fact that we don't love Mother Earth, the fact that we don't love every consciousness on Earth, plants and animals, everything of war on Earth, the whole predation, like when you see like, a lion eating like, a like gazelle or like different beings like attacking each other, all of that is reflecting to us what we are going through within our own consciousness. And when we begin to shift our consciousness into unconditional love towards self first, because that's where it begins, and then emanate it out to be able to understand unconditional love to others, the whole world changes. Then you begin to see like, a lion and a deer like co-creating with each other, living with each other, not attacking each other to eat each other, like etc. Etc. Praying mantis, praying mantis beings and any other beings like aliens see us as young consciousness. We are still learning to master our emotions. This is why we have this whole range of emotions. Like to them, like killing is an energy, like the word killing is an energy incompatibility to source. Because what is source? Again, regardless, whether you're Christian, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Muslim, whether you are Taoist, whether you don't believe in God, whether you just believe in energies, source is all about integration, about the fabric of like the universe being together, about the connection of all, about the oneness of all. And like those beings, like insectoid beings, praying mantis beings, other beings that are more conscious, more evolved, understand that. We do not. And our government and the people that are trying to understand the more, oftentimes don't understand what they don't understand, but they're operating from the primal fear of disconnection, and they assume that other beings think like us. How can you assume that? It's so ridiculous to my mind. Insectoid beings and other beings, the praying mantis beings and other conscious beings don't need to dominate because they operate through resonance. They enter the field to match the piece. That's what they do. And you can only have access to more knowledge. You can only have access to more data. You can only have access to speed of light. You can only have access to like traveling within the folds of like the universe. You can only have access to bend time and space to travel straight through when you integrate with consciousness, not when you are not like when you are separate, not when you are within the vibration and frequency of fear and hatred. You don't get to have access to that because that is the disconnection of the fabric of the universe. The connection and the integration of the fabric of the universe is the unconditional love. And that's what the praying mantis beings do. I'm going to repeat for the ones who have just joined. I was called by the Praying Mantis beings, because I speak to the Praying Mantis beings, to stand up today for the insectoid beings, because Richard Doty, D-O-T-Y, was just interviewed on like one of the podcast interviews. If you just Google Mantis beings killing a human in area like 51, and then like Richard Doty, D-O-T-Y, he just spoke about them on the story back in like the 80s, where this visitor insectoid being, visitor like Mantis in area like 51, escaped. Why would, if it's your own visitor, why would they escape if you want to try and do like something bad to them, and killed a human? I'm here to like to like stand up for them, for the Mantis insectoid beings, that story is false, is not true. There's a lot of things like to talk about, guys. The whole psychological of like the unknown. We fear what we don't know. That is a barometer of how unconscious we are. The human nervous system equates unknown with danger, which is a survival like mechanism. And that's what oftentimes like the government does, and other disinformation people that say they work for the government. Whatever it is, this whole secrecy thing, this whole classified thing keeps us relying on their power to give us the information, when, guys, each and every one of you can connect to those beings and you can feel the unconditional love of them. You understand how like the government and the people that work for the government or pretend to work for the government, just wanting to keep operating on like the fear like vibration and frequency, they keep like using survival techniques and the unknown, the danger aspect, the fear, and the classified thing that you can only come to me for the information, meaning the government, that you are disempowered, you don't have access. Each and every one of us can connect to those beings and have access to that information. And you'll begin to realize that those beings are of unconditional love. Spiritual evolution is about retaining the body to read the unknown as expansion and not a threat. The unknown is not the enemy, guys. What we don't know is not the enemy. It's the mirror of our own unintegrated potential. Meaning, again, we are all energy beings. You guys understand that energy is not destroyed and it's not created. You've heard it in physics. Like scientists like know about it. So if energy isn't created or destroyed and always exists, then there is no death. Then there is just like the existence of this form that keeps forming and like living in all kinds of ways. So us as energy beings, us as beings that are trying to understand like the more, emanate out, reflect out what's happening like within us. So our world of war, our world of hatred, our world of not accepting each other, and we look like each other, guys. We're human beings that supposedly look like each other, and we cannot even accept the idea we look like each other and give love to each other, let alone give love to another being or another like consciousness that doesn't remotely like look like us. Those beings are not and will not be ready to meet us face to face. Those beings will not be ready to come to earth and say hello to us until we are able to emanate unconditional love to myself, to each other, to the self aspect of us, and to each other, because they understand love is the binding agent of everything. Bridging the consciousness to contact. Disclosure doesn't require government, guys. It requires inner permission. When we talk about disclosure and all these shows about disclosure, we're waiting for disclosure to happen. We're waiting for somebody else to tell us when that information is coming through. We're waiting for someone else or like the government to give us the proper like information. Bullshit, guys. Each and every one of you has access to that information. You can go into your own intuition. You can listen to your own guidance. You can listen to your own guides, whether you're religious or not religious. I don't care. You can talk to Jesus. You can talk to Mother Mary, you can talk to Buddha, you can talk to Krishna, you can talk to the saints, you can talk to all the beings about all those expanded consciousness, and they will guide you through your own antennas. You do not have to rely on the government. You do not have to rely on other bodies or other people to tell you. Because the more you disempower yourself and you allow someone else to tell you what's true, the more that you begin to forget that you are the antenna of creation. So disclosure happens within you first. We are all antennas. When we move from fear to openness, we start to meet those beings through meditation, through frequency, through like synchronicity, through dreams, outside of the control structures and constructs. Guys, from the day that we were born, humanity is trying to understand everything. Through that, it goes through the process of beginning to build those systems, those like architecture of understandings, right? And as they begin to build the system of architecture of understanding, we begin to have categories, we begin to have like layers of of things, right? To try to understand like the more. And as we do that, we get stuck in like these boxes that our world is this construction of our mind that we constructed. And oftentimes that's emphasized and re-empowered and like constantly being brainwashed by the government, by media, by the education system. Don't even get me started about schools, by our parents at times, by the like naiveness of what we don't know, right? We construct these worlds and we begin to live in these boxes, these like containers. And this becomes our world, although the world is beyond this box. So in order for you to begin to meet those beings, in order for you to begin to have access to whoever it is, Jesus, Christ consciousness, like Mother Mary, Krishna, like Mary Magdalene, aliens, all forms of consciousness, you have to go within into the center of your own energy through meditation, through dreams, through like synchronicities, because communication, guys, comes in many forms all around us. A tree can communicate to you, a leaf can communicate to you. The way in which the wind moves the leaf and creates like a shadow with like sunlight is a form also of like communication. Meaning, true contact, it doesn't happen through a craft coming in the sky. It's alignment of frequency between species that remember love. True contact is alignment of frequencies between consciousnesses, species, humans or non-humans, that remember love. That's how we remember. Remember, the stories like Doty, like Richard Doty, are echoes of the old paradigm. Are echoes of fear, of separation, of disempowerment. The new story that we are beginning to create, that I'm helping you to remember, to allow yourself to remember, is one of remembrance, that you are part of the all, that consciousness is benevolent. Consciousness is peace. Consciousness is love. Consciousness is integration, expanding into something more. It's all about being one with all. It's never about fear. So be mindful when you watch something. Be mindful when you're receiving that information from somebody else. The lens in which it is being like given to you, and remind yourself, go within yourself, because oftentimes it's easy for us to believe someone else, because we've been taught to believe others. We've been taught even to believe Jesus or Mother Mary or Krishna or Buddha and all these beings. We're not taught to believe our instincts. We are not taught to believe our voice like within our head. We're not taught to believe our heart. So we are stepping away from the idea of belief of something comes from outside someone else, something else, instead of inside of me. I'm the consciousness. I'm the energy. I am the love. I am the world. I love you guys infinitely. How did you first learn to connect with them? Hi, Elina. So like a little bit about my story, guys. I grew up in Lebanon. I'm Lebanese. I moved to Washington, D.C. when I was 15 years old. And I grew up Christian. And I was Christian until I was 40 years old-ish, like when COVID came, and I'm 45 years old now. So when like COVID came is when my consciousness kind of awoke, and I began like believing and channeling and all these beings. And I like took one channeling class. Oh, sorry. Under my first hypnosis, so like the question is, how did you know? How did I learn first to connect with like the praying mantis beings? So my first past life regression hypnosis, the first image that came through is of a praying mantis being, and like they brought a message through, and I knew immediately like that I connect to them. So I stand today, just for each and every one of you, speaking for the insectoid race. They are one of the most benevolent races you can ever imagine, of unconditional love. And I spoke in the beginning of this, and I'm gonna post this like later, guys, because I'm almost done with what I said. Is all the disinformation that's out there. Richard Doty, D-O-T-Y, he's one person of like many persons that gives out this disinformation. whether it's through the government, whether it's like through his own volition, whether he got stuck in this world of being popular through this information, I don't give a shit. All of it is disinformation. The point is rely on your intuition. Because the fact that he says, again, there was a YouTube, if you Google Mantis being I'm like killing someone at area like 51, Richard Doty, T-O-T-Y, you'll see it and like you'll read it. It was narrated it was like an hour, I think, like interview. The first half an hour was literally like narration. He's reading from a story which sounded like bullshit, felt like bullshit. And then on top of that, they keep talking about this Mantis visitor. Like, listen to the words. Killing a human. Why was it at Area 51? Why would a visitor in Area 50, why would a visitor kill anyone? It's like you inviting somebody like to your home as a visitor, and your visitor ended up killing you or somebody else. From a human perspective, let's assume that happened. Why would they kill you as the host if perhaps we weren't doing something against them? We weren't trying to do some war tactic. We were trying to extract information. We were using war techniques. Who knows? You know how the government, through many stories in TV, they use all kinds of inhumane ways to extract information because we're afraid of the unknown. Perhaps they did do that to this being. I don't fucking know. But to me, if I invite somebody like to my home, if a visitor comes to area like 51, a visitor, then I would treat him like a guest. And they would not, and they also use the word the visitor escaped. Why would a visitor want to escape if they're your visitors? Do you understand the semantics in between, the underneath layer of the lies that are happening? So I'm here to speak about the insectoid beings that are one of the most unconditionally loving beings, and to also to help you rely on your information and to be mindful what you hear out there. Everything is being spun through the idea of fear, the idea of like survival mode, to keep you wanting or disempowered to rely on them for information. That's why everything is classified. Even the word like classified is like, I want to find out more, like what's more in there. Like I already can feel like my mind wanting to believe them. All tactics, psychological tactics, guys. You have access to the knowledge, you have access to the wisdom, you are the antennas of the universe to go in and discern whether that information is true or not. Again, conscious being. We are young consciousness. All these being insectoids, greys, Pleiades, whatever, all these names for are more advanced. They've mastered consciousness, and they understand that consciousness is integration through unconditional love. It is the glue that keeps everything together. We are one of the few species that live through separation, live through forgetfulness, live through this idea of not knowing what love is. Again, I go back to our humanity. Forget about the rest of the aliens. Us as humans, we look like fucking each other. We still cannot love each other. We still cannot accept each other. We still cannot unconditionally love self. We still hate self. That's why we hate the next person and the neighbor. That's why war on our planet still happens. Until we begin to love ourselves fully with no judgment, unconditional love to myself, to begin to be able to see unconditional love to others and to Mother Planet and to Earth and to the planes and to the animals and to the insects on our planets. Oftentimes we're afraid of insects on our planets or anything that looks different. Until we emanate unconditional love towards our own consciousness and planet, that's when other aliens will land, in a sense. We will begin to perceive them. They'll begin to appear to welcome us as part of whatever, the Galactic Federation of all. Okay, guys, that's all I want to say. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you being here. I just got so triggered. I'm so tired of this information from the government, from people who say work the government. Who fucking knows if he actually worked for the government or that other person? Who freaking knows everything that's being said? Nothing ever is like corroborated. Nothing ever is real. And when they show you documents, 80% of it is fucking redacted. Who fucking knows that AI didn't create that? You know what I mean? So discern. Again, my name is Tony Ghazi, Toni Ghizi. Just to let you know, I'm a real person. I'm senior vice president at Compass Real Estate in Washington, D.C. I sell real estate, a real job. So I'm coming out here, not necessarily to speak bad, about the government, but to empower you, to be mindful on what you listen out there. There's a lot of fear tactics to keep you disempowered, to feel like you need knowledge from someone else when the knowledge is within you. The antenna is within you. The wisdom is within you to discern and decipher what is true and what is not. And always keep in mind, every time there is an energy of fear, there's an energy of an attack, there's an energy of bad, Be mindful. That's the first flag to tell you things are being told to you that way to keep you not to rely on your own discernment with God, with Jesus, with Mother Mary, with Mary Magdalene, with Buddha, with Krishna, with Muhammad, whatever. All those are consciousnesses, guys. All those consciousnesses, like the religious like figures that are beyond the humans that are teaching like religion, the figures that we read in the Bible and all these things, those are conscious beings. They understand unconditional love and integration. So that's all I want to say, guys. I'm so fired up right now because I'm like, somebody has to stand for the insectoid beings. And this is my emblem for my people. I love my people. And if you do follow me, if you have heard like the channel messages, if you've heard some of the things that I've taught through them, all about loving each other, all about loving self, all about being oneness. So no way on earth these stories will ever shake me. But I'm here, the voice for the insectoid beings, to help you remember that each and every one of you are the voice of God. Each and every one of you has access to everything. Don't give your power away to someone else, to something else, not to religion, not to government, not even to your parents, not even to your boyfriend, not even to your wife. Your power is for you to discern within yourself. You have access to it all the time. Love you, love you, love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for being here on a Monday morning. And now I gotta go sell real estate. Bye, guys. How do you turn this off? Okay, there you go.